Okay, we are entering a new time here on social media. It's not about information anymore. It's not about who can provide the most value. It's about who can stand out amongst their market. As we know, looking at the market now, you know the people that are standing out. Think to it, the top people in your space. They stand out in very unique ways. And the name of the game is standing out, because when you stand out, people see you more. You don't become another fish in the sea. You become somebody who's able to attract the people that they want to attract and more of them, and be able to easily convert them, because you're not talking like everybody else. No copying other people's content. No relying on AI to create all your content ideas. What you need is a unique brand that is also built for conversions. I'm not talking about having an aesthetic brand and filming things in a very aesthetic way, as that often doesn't create conversions. But as a coach, there is a proper way to build your brand from the look, from what you talk about, from what makes you different, that attracts buyers, fills up your pipeline, and makes everything so much easier because you're sticking out. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the 3 steps that you can do to build a unique coaching brand that is meant for conversions. And this is stuff that has been untalked about before. As always, I'm dropping the sauce in every single one of my YouTube videos. But if you feel like you have all the information of how you can win, but you need help on the implementation, go ahead, book a call. We'll see if you're cool to join our incubator. If not, all good. Let's get into it right away. So building a unique coaching brand that is meant for conversions. I can tell you right now, guys, we are in a completely different era. The era of what I like to call the information era. We go over here. This is info. And now we are going into the identity era. This was around 2000 to 2025. And now all the way from 2025 to 2033 plus, we are in the identity area. It's not about selling info. It's about selling the transformation and the identity that people want. So when it comes to creating the brand, we need to create the identity. So let me go over some examples of people that you probably know in the space, and you know they're unique, you know they're different, and they have a theme, a brand, an aura, whatever you want to call it, to them. And that's what we're going to be building. But let's dissect these people first. So we got Danco. Danco, even without here's the other thing. Even without looking at the profile photo, you guys would know who this is. Okay? Because they're different. They feel different. They have a solid brand attached to them. So Danco, though, he sells the philosophical identity of introspection, sovereignty, systems thinking. Brez Scales sells the rich kid identity. His brand is luxury, exclusivity, young, and rich, and you can tell that easily by watching his content. Hamza sells the masculine older brother for lost men. He's a hard truth accountability figure for the young and unmotivated individuals. And you can tell by his content what he speaks about and all the other things I'll be telling you to develop that they have developed in this video. Matt Gray, somebody in my space, obviously looking at his thing, you can tell he's all about travel. He's all about the work-life balance, systems. He has this creative identity, storytelling, visual aesthetic, and ultimately has this underlying tone of being misunderstood in a way, if you actually watch his content. Hormozi himself, he even has a brand. Okay, he was the one who capitalized on the information era, but you could even see that he himself is beginning to switch, and he already has because he's a smart individual. He's switching into different styles of content that isn't all about information. He's focusing on making himself even more unique. He did that just by being in the beginning, just by being a superpower of information, and he just beat everybody out when it came to information. But he still does that because his whole thing is I've made 100 million. This is a huge part of my brand, and he's a logical operator and logical marketer, and he saves you from that internet fluff. Iman Ghazi, obviously, when looking at Iman Ghazi, look at his pictures here. It just screams luxury. it screams exclusivity, power, rebellion, and his brand is his life. And that kind of goes into everything here. What all of these people are selling in a way is their life, is the identity that people want. Okay, people who buy into Danco because they want to be like Danco. People buy into Brett Scales because they want to be like Brett Scales. Same for Hamza. They want to be just like him. And this is the first stepping stone to making yourself unique and building out your unique brand, which is identity. Each one of these people make you feel something. They don't sell offers. They sell worldviews. They sell identity. The feeling is so much more important than the information. Feeling will outsell info all day. Feeling. The more you can make somebody feel a certain way, the more you can make it feel like that you're going to get them wins, the more you can make them feel like you are telling the truth, you are an authority figure, the more you can create that feeling in the person's chest. Like, have you ever watched a video where the person's just been saying all the right words and you're like, holy shit, I need to buy this thing? That is what the identity does, because they're speaking to the identity. Which begs the question, how do we form your brand identity? Okay, first we need to understand identity. And by the way, for those of you who are super brain rot and just scrolling on Instagram all day, this stuff is not going to make sense to you. I promise you there's going to be easier stuff. Just skip ahead. There's easier stuff, but identity, for those who are a little more sophisticated and want to understand how to truly be unique in the market, let's go over this. Identity is the internal story you tell yourself about who you are and the external signals that you send to prove it. And this is how people like Danco, Iman Ghazi are doing it on social media. They have external signals, content, vibe, things they talk about, things they show that craft their external identity that aligns with their internal. Okay, so it shapes how you think at its core. Like, this is what identity is. It shapes how you think, what you value, how you behave, and ultimately what you buy and believe. So to make this a little bit simple, identity is like the reptilian part of the brain. This is a brain. It's the reptilian part of your brain. It forms all of your habits. It forms exactly your thought patterns, everything that you essentially do. To put it another way, to give you an example, like, let's say I have the identity, like, I truly fully believe I am somebody who can make $1 billion. Boom. I am gonna all of a sudden do all the habits, the things needed to do $1 billion. Or if I was an animal, right? A reason why a crocodile comes up and bites you, because it has the identity, it's a crocodile. It doesn't have the identity that's a dog, because if it was a dog, you can pet it and it will never bite you. But since the crocodile knows it's a crocodile, it bites you. That's the actions it takes because it aligns with the identity. Somehow you're able to put the identity of the dog in a crocodile. The crocodile will then start to act like a dog. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, just rewind it. Hopefully you can get it done. But let's scroll down here. So identity crafting. How do we begin to actually craft the identity of your brand, not brain, Jesus Christ. So first, number one is your beliefs. Number two is your core values. Number three is your unique mechanisms, and then your lifestyle. And in the center of all of that is the identity of your brand. All this stuff is going to come throughout your content. If we go up here and look at people like Alex Hormozi, I'll just use Iman Ghazi because he's a good example. You know, like, his beliefs, you know a lot when it comes to his core values, his unique mechanisms, and then obviously he showcases that through his lifestyle too. So we need to begin to craft that. But to get a little bit deeper and to prompt you in a sort of way, beliefs are, what you stand for and stand against. The key here is having contrarian beliefs. Okay? If you immediately want to stick out in your brand, being controversial going against the grain, that's the definition of a contrarian, then that is automatically going to make you unique. So what are the beliefs that you have? This can also tie into how you go about thinking about things. People like Dan Koe, he always takes this philosophical belief behind how he goes about problem solving, how he goes about business, and that comes through a lot of his content. Matt Gray, he takes this creativity edge, this 4-hour workday, aesthetics, and you can see that in his content. He has certain beliefs about how you should be working, systems. He believes in that a lot. He talks about that a lot. Hormozi, kind of everything. Okay, so that's beliefs. The next thing is core values. This is how you behave and make decisions. This builds trust and consistency. What are your core values when it comes to your brands? Go ahead and write all of those out. This becomes a cross in your content for somebody like Dan Koe. One of his core values is being a solopreneur, right? Matt Gray, core values is building systems for a 4-hour work week. What are some of those core values that you align with? Mechanisms, I have a whole nother video on this, but essentially a mechanism is a unique way to get somebody to their transformation. So let's say I'm in the fitness space and everybody in the fitness space is bringing people to their end state. This is an island here. They're bringing everybody to their end state using the exact same workout plan or exact same methods to get somebody to lose 30 pounds of weight. But you come along and you have a different way of doing things, easier, better, or different, and that's automatically going to make you stick out in your brand. Okay? So mechanisms, that's a whole nother topic, but it's essentially your intellectual property, what makes your methods worth paying for. And having a unique one is always better because it makes you stand out. All right. So lifestyle is the last one. Obviously, we see this throughout every single one of these person's brands. Even if you think like Alex Hormozi doesn't show his lifestyle, he certainly talks about it a lot, and he actually does show his lifestyle quite a bit, more than you would actually think. A lot of people think Hormozi is just pure educational, but he shows him traveling. He shows himself doing speaking gigs. He shows himself working in his business. He does actually show his lifestyle, and he talks about it a lot as well. He always talks about how much he works. Iman Ghazi obviously showcases lifestyle. Same with Matt Gray. Dan Koe is a little bit more hidden about it, but that's kind of his brand. He keeps his lifestyle a little hidden. You still get bits and pieces of it. And so yeah, so showing your lifestyle, this is an embodiment of what your audience aspires to be. Essentially, this is the proof that your way works. It's how people imagine themselves becoming you. So showcasing this in your brand is good. To recap everything though, we got beliefs. It's why they align with you, right? Values, why they trust you. Mechanisms, why they buy from you. Lifestyle, why they want to buy from you. So if you figure out all 4 of these things and begin to interweave it into your content strategy on Instagram, then you're already going to be seen as different because your beliefs are going to be different from others. They might align with others, but essentially you're sharing from your heart, your values, sharing from yourself. You are always going to be different, not copying people, mechanisms, and then your lifestyle. This is a combination or a recipe for uniqueness. And that's what we're after here. Okay, so for those who skipped that part right there, who were brain rot and couldn't understand that, this is like the secret sauce here. I like to put my stuff in the beginning, the sauce in the beginning, that keeps you watching, but this is the core of your brand. This is what's going to make you stand out. And I'm going to be talking about how to make your identity come through in a second in this next section. But before we get into that, we're still crafting the brand. And for those who were brain rot, now we can get into much more simpler things as far as your profile feel. What does it feel like when somebody steps into your profile? Somebody hits it for the first time. All of these people have their own unique feeling. And even me, I'll go over to me for a sec. I always find ways to stand out. Things that align with my brand, the look, the feel, what I talk about. One of the reasons why I even started to blow up in the first place is because when I was, had my hiatus on content, I look different from everybody else that was creating content right around here. My videos would consistently go viral. I'm still in the process of finding that next format, and format's just one thing, but the feel of your profile is really, really important to stand out. So your profile needs to stand out, feel unique, and match the identity you're selling. So there's really 3 things that you can do here in your profile, which is your image, unique bio, and then I always just recommend having testimonials below. Before your profile picture, this needs to represent the brand, the theme, and is easily identifiable. So going to people like Dan Koe, the black and white photo positions himself as an intellectual. That aligns with his brand, his identity, because it's all about being philosophical. Brad Scales, crash supercar in the background, representing him as a rich kid who doesn't really give a shit. Just perfectly aligns who he is, I feel like, or how he portrays himself. Hamza has a signature hoodie that's easy identifiable, and then you can also see him with his chest out, making him a little bit more masculine or whatever. Matt Gray, can see here, Matt Gray, obviously easily identifiable, just having a good headshot. You need a good headshot. I would say Brad Scales, he's getting away with it, but you can't really tell it's him there, but he has other ways to blow up and make himself stand out. But for you, you want a identifiable headshot like Matt Gray. And you can tell there's green and nature in the back. Hormozi, obviously, he himself is very identifiable here. And then this green is actually aligning with his new promotion of his book launch. Okay. Iman Ghazi, suit, can easily tell it's him, looks classy. Almost has this like vintage-esque feeling to it. So super classy, represents the brand and theme well. So for you, I recommend 1, having a good headshot, 2, using a color pattern that represents your brand. And I'll get into that in a second, but let's go over your unique bio. Unique bio. This is the first thing to be seen as unique, right? If somebody goes on your profile besides the image, what's the next thing that they're going to look at, Jesus Christ. I just cannot speak today. The next thing that they are going to look at is what makes you different. Okay, let's say you're a fitness dad, right? And you say, I help busy dads lose 30 pounds. That makes you look like literally everyone else who's trying to service busy dads. Like, what's different about you? Okay, so you need to come from this place in your bio where you have authority being built, you have trust being built up, and you're unique with unique language, okay? So particularly, I'll go over to mine. What that looks like is creating the info incubator. Nobody else is doing that. 5 million plus generated online. That's trust, that's proof. And then I get coaches more piffs through buyer journey design, completely different. This is stuff that nobody's heard about before, but you can still tell who I'm targeting. And like my authority is coming through here, my unique language is coming through here. And yeah, that is making me stand out in the market. Okay. So the next thing is getting into your profile theme. Immediately when a viewer lands on your page, there should be this feeling, remember feelings sell, that is portrayed. Color theme, identity, images. Okay, so if we look at somebody like Dan Koe, immediately he's using black and white, matches his philosophical theme. It is easy to see that his brand theme screams intellect, deep thinker by just looking over it, right? You can see like a brain here. He has a lot of text, black and white, not really anything flashy, more based on your mind, okay? Iman Ghazi, vintage, once again, classy, travel, cars, horse, like, come on. He has a horse right here. He's obviously portraying this identity of this classy, young, rich kid, and that's what his viewers want to be like. And this is making him stand out in the market. Hamza, right off the bat, you can see him with his friends, him fighting, him in the gym. These are all things that he showcases and preaches within his content. The theme is selling the identity of the masculine man, right? You can see all of these things in here, things that he aligns with, his core beliefs, his values. All these things are immediately right then and there. Okay, so how do you come up with your theme? Okay, step 1, do research on creators ahead of you. Understand how their profiles are set up. Find some people like 5 to 10 in your market. Pay attention to the color scheme and photos. Begin to understand why they're using a certain color theme, black and white, vintage, whatever it is, and begin to incorporate that into yours. Identify the colors that match what you also want to portray. So this is number 2. Intellect would be more black and white. Nature/travel, green and blues. Poppy colors. Luxury, vintage, dark, neutral colors. And then step 3 is create a grid post that shows what you're about. Intellect, have a brain, long text like Dan Coe. Nature/travel, candid photos like Matt Gray. Luxury, cars, watches, masculine, gym, fighting, brotherhood. You want to showcase all of those, and then that will begin to make your profile stand out. But now let's get into how to really build out that content strategy that's going to make you seem completely different. Talk about things that people are not talking about, showcasing things that people aren't showcasing, beginning to create a cult-like audience because you're different from everybody else. Because right now, what the typical coach is doing, the content strategy they have is a bunch of how-tos, copy marketing, monkey see, monkey do. This guy created a viral video on this. Let me create the same exact thing, but just repackaged. People know now that you're doing that and it's not standing out. Lead magnets, and once again, just trying to go viral in any sort of way possible. These people, these coaches, believe I'm going to teach my way to $100,000 a month. While a unique brand strategy is built on the story, the mission, the insights, and the identity that you have. And these coaches go, I'm going to show my way to 100K. I'm going to show my way to helping out this many people. That is the difference here. Okay, so as I said in the beginning of this video, we are in the identity era, being able to showcase that. Information is a battleground. You can no longer compete on industry knowledge. Competing on information will never make you stand out. People want to be sold on you. Are you the individual, the person to guide them through their transformation? Okay, so there's 2 things that you need to do. Number 1, get them sold on you. Number 2, get them sold on your unique way. That mechanism we were talking about. This is another topic, so I'm not going to talk about on the video. We're going to talk about how to get people sold on you, right? You can have the exact same information as all the other coaches out there who are in your niche, right? You can copy them word for word. But if you found ways to sell the viewers on you specifically, and in giving them that information and then guiding them through their transformation, then you will win. And you do that through story, identity, insights, and mission. Okay? So Iman Ghazi, when it comes to his story, we know it. Everybody, in a sense, knows his story, but I'll give you a little brief rundown. He was raised by a single mom in a rough, environment in London. He had a poor upbringing, lack of male role models, all that stuff there. He dropped out of school, taught himself marketing, landed some clients, grew his agency all the way up to who knows what. Documented the watches, cars, first class, and he really built that identity of power, freedom, elite success. And now he's moved from an agency owner to an educator who now has high status and teaches others to do the same, right? Iman sells the identity of the sovereign young man, escaped the system, built the power on his own terms, lives luxurious, now leads others into the same path. And you can see this in a lot of the content he talks about. And he has a lot of these stories in his content, right? He's not telling his whole arcing story in every single piece of content, but he's telling bits and pieces. Iman Ghazi does a fantastic job. He talks about his mom a lot. He even showcases how he's gotten his mom a house, right? These are all part of his story. So how do we begin to craft your story? Well, here's a step-by-step guide. I'll go over this super quickly to not bore you. Step 1, who were you before the transformation? Describe your lifestyle, what you believed in, how you thought, how things made you feel. Step 2, what was your external goal? What were you trying to achieve? Was it money freedom? Was it more peace? Was it getting clients? Purpose? Write that down. Step 3, what obstacles did you hit in the way? What was like the brick wall that hit you in the face? What wasn't working? What broke down? What made you doubt your path? Step 4, what is the epiphany moment? Okay, this is the aha moment. Boom, I was trying all these things, and then all of a sudden, I posted this one type of video that was completely different, that built my brand, that built my identity, and I started getting more leads. Boom. What is the aha moment for you in your business and your coaching journey? Step 5, what new opportunity / vehicle did you discover? As a part of your epiphany moment, introduce your framework, your method, philosophy, all that stuff. Step 6, what results did you get? And now, how do you help others get that result? Show the proof, show how you help others get those results. And then step 7, what belief do you want your audience to adopt now? This is the punchline of your brand story, the belief that makes them want to work with you. So example of this is, if you want high-ticket clients, you don't need more content. You need a brand that embodies the transformation that they want. Okay? So write all this stuff down that begins to craft your story, and we can see how this perfectly aligns Iman Ghazi's transformation here, or his story. Okay, so now that you have your story down, what you need to do is then distribute it. When you distribute it through Instagram, you're not, like I was saying before, telling your whole entire story. You're just putting bits and pieces of it and the lessons you learn throughout some pieces of your content. So I'm always constantly talking about the lessons I learned during my journey, or I used to think like this. I used to do this. That's another really good prompt, is just starting a video. I used to. That immediately is going to put you in a different frame. The viewers are going to see you different because the information that you're about to display isn't based off of what anyone else is saying. It's based off of what you discovered. And what you discovered is always going to be different from everybody. So you're layering these things in your content, little bits and pieces of your story. Okay, the next part here is your mission. Your mission is what makes you a leader. When you create a mission, you create a leader, which is you. Followers need to see a goal in sight to tune into. Creating a mission, updating others on your mission will result in your story and identity being brought to life. Right? If people are going to follow you, they need a leader, and a leader needs to set a goal. Otherwise, you have nothing to lead towards, and you need to do that through your content. This is going to make you seem different from everybody else, because your goals, sure, there might be some overlapping goals with other people, but you're a human being. There's different things that you want in life. Like for me, my goal is to live this classy but quiet life. Right? I like the luxury things. I want the penthouse. I want the Porsche, but I want it to be classy, kind of like Iman Ghazi. But I also like the quiet life. I want to be a cowboy that has 100 acres and rides dirt bikes side by sides and lives in the middle of nowhere. That is the mission I am after. And what I do is update people on my mission. The way to get towards that goal is just by helping out a ton of other coaches. And I can always update with people, where I'm at in my goal, where I'm at in my money goals, where I'm at with helping other people. So we need to have that mission. Iman Ghazi's whole entire mission was really to support his mom and help others do the same. He has a lot of content of how he bought his mom a house, how he did this stuff for his mom. Like he has all that. Alex Hormozi's mission is to be a billionaire and help take companies from 5 million to 20 million. And that's how he gets to be a billionaire, which he probably is already. But you need a mission. People can tune in to your mission. It's like when you create a mission, you're essentially creating a Netflix-like series that people can follow along with. So you need your mission mountain. So your mission mountain is you piecing together where you started. Like write this down. What was the pain, confusion, and misalignment? This kind of goes back into your story. What the mission you are focused on now. Like what are you committed to? What are you trying to build? And then at the top of it is the vision, the transformation for yourself and your people. Are you a coach who's trying to help 1,000 busy dads lose weight? Are you a relationship coach where your whole mission is to help as many married couples realign in their relationship? Okay. Do you talk about that? Do you put that in your content? And that begins to create followers, people who are interested in you. So the two things you can do is develop out your story, distribute that through content, and then your mission, and distribute that through your content as well. And when you begin to do that, you begin to see unique. But to get into more tangible things for yourself that are good ways to differentiate yourself in your brand, like actual pieces of content you can make, there's a couple things you can do. Number one is the photo dumps. This is something that I've been adding to my Instagram recently because, what you do in your life makes you stand out. And importantly, if these photo dumps align with your identity that you're trying to sell, then it just builds your personal brand even more, right? If I'm a fit dad and I'm trying to showcase that and want others to be that, I'm going to show family, kids, vacation, working out, all those stuff that the person who is viewing you would want to have. For me, I'm just photo dumping things here, my lifestyle, me being on a yacht, me speaking in front of people, authority, pictures with some exclusive people, cityscapes, right? That is what I'm conveying. So a good framework for your photo dumps, the carousels that you're doing, is number one, just doing a travel pic, then you working, then you at a restaurant, your food, fit pic, working out, screenshot of something, if you make money online, do of you making money, friends and family, selfie, miscellaneous, right? So this is a good cadence to follow in your carousels as far as what you should be dumping. And I like to do this at least once a month. It's really a photo dump at the end of the month of everything that's happened in that month. So it just updates people on my journey, what I'm doing, and I have a good caption that goes along with it, and the pictures begin to sell that identity. Okay, so the next thing is conversion stories. Your stories should be posted daily. As I like to say, your stories here is, if you think of it as like a gate, this is the gateway to you seeing money, right? From getting conversions. This is the viewer on the left. They see a story post, and then what's in that story post then gets them to become really warmed up, potentially reaching out to you, or just becoming a buyer. And then if you reach out to them, they're going to be ready to go. Stories are absolutely essential for your brand and getting conversions. So a couple of different things you can do as far as story structures. Particularly what I have is the case study structure. This is a eye-grabbing photo, before and after transformation. And then you go into the background of the person that you got the results for. So list out the problems that they were facing before they worked with you. Show the pathway that you laid out. So list out every step in the client's transformation, and then show the transformation benefits. So what they received as far as, for me, it would be, hey, we got this guy to 20K a month. And then I'm listing out all the benefits. Okay. Testimonial dump, client win photos, you're just going to either post them right away or be like, check out these client wins with a eye-grabbing photo. It can be of me shooting something, a yacht, whatever it is. And then you go into client win dump, client win dump, client win dump. Okay. The next is insights. Eye-grabbing photo, travel, car, watch, whatever it is, whatever aligns with what you're doing. And then text written insights like this about the thing that you're talking about. So don't give away all the information, just create insights. When you create insights, it makes people want to learn more and actually get the true information that will get them the result. So insight part 1, insight part 2, and then have a claim to back up your insights, so like a testimonial. And then you can even do a CTA after that if you like. I don't really do CTAs, maybe once in a while, but really I like to have a good story sequence that creates inbound leads, right? No call into action for somebody to message me. They just message me unprompted based off of everything that's in my story. And this can be a whole nother video once again, but these are the frameworks that I'm using that you can implement into your stories. So that's it. This is how you build a unique coaching brand. What you need to do is start to craft the brand through the identity, through the profile, feel, the theme, the colors, all that stuff. Then you can do a standout content strategy where you're having your story, your hero's journey, then distribute that through your content, have your mission, post about that, and then do photo dumps and conversion stories to get the conversion aspect in there. It's not about, making yourself look super aesthetic. It's not about doing these vlog-esque things. It's about crafting the identity, crafting the story that people can follow along with that ultimately makes you stand out. Okay, with that, I'll see you in another video.